So part 2, y'all. And y'all know I'm a therapist, but you know most of us therapists or whatever, we kind of crazy ourselves. Just so that y'all know, whatever. We've lived in crazy, so we, you know. But anyway, so she's exactly what I prayed for, what I've been praying for him to get. I was praying for him to either have a good person who could see how wicked he was, and you know, for them to flee, or for him to have somebody who was twice as wicked as him, twice as oppressive, twice as whatever. Well, you know, this girl texted from 2 o'clock in the morning, kept trying to talk to me about her and his relationship after telling me that the only thing she and I should be talking about is Vare. Like dumb people do, trying to go and police everything. She did that from 2 in the morning till 4:30 in the morning. And then I finally, you know, and after I went ahead and gave her diagnosis, and she finally was tripped up, and I could tell she didn't know what to say, because I said, ma'am, your boyfriend started it. And so you asked me, like, if somebody hits you, are you going to just stand there and let them hit you, or are you going to fight back? It's the same thing. If somebody curses you out, whatever, what you going to do? Well, no, if somebody hits me, then we'd be fighting. And I said, all right then, so why are you not talking to your boyfriend? He started it. The answer was no, he can't have him on my day. Well, I spoke to both of you. I spoke to, and you could never understand he and I's relationship. I said, here you go. I said, here goes this white woman who, you know, just can't help but to insert herself in stuff that doesn't have anything to do with her. I said, you're an interruption. I said, it is a story that's been going on for, you know, for 8 years. You're an interruption. I said, and I know when it's you texting and when it's him. I said, I can tell you have a, you know, a problem, a few problems or whatever. And I want to know what do you want, you know? Well, she couldn't give me any answers. She got real silly or whatever, because of course she's still a child. She literally, he's 41 and she's a child, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So, she was tripped up. She didn't know what to say. And even though I know it was meant for bad, the father made sure that it happened so that I could get out of it's disconcerting to know that somebody is trying to upset you and that someone is trying to oppress you. But you also know that Yahuwah, that Abba Yahuwah, is looking out for you, and that he's letting you see this. You have to observe. You have to pay attention to what he's showing you. So he knows what he's doing at all times. So he spoke to me, and in some of the things that she was saying, I finally said, I said, I'm going to block this number for 2.5 hours or whatever she was just going on or whatever, because she just wants to be relevant. And I said, I'm going to block this number. And, you know, she still was trying to be sarcastic or whatever. You know, I blocked the number, which is, you know, my ex-husband's number. And then I called the non-emergency police number. And I asked them, you know, I told them that I want to go ahead and, you know, put together documentation and everything for harassment and, you know, whatever else. And that I was looking for a standby in the morning when my son came to pick my son, or when my ex-husband came to pick my son up. So went ahead and did that. And we had a small crowd outside waiting for him to come and get him, including the cop. And I already knew that he was planning, because I had told him several times, don't ever bring her in this driveway. Ever. Don't ever bring her over here. But she was ready. She's been just itching for months. itching for months or whatever to be seen. She's hungry, very pale skinned, whatever, very hungry. You can tell, you know, and a lot of these people are, but very hungry. And so she's been for months trying to eat, trying to get inside of my space some way or something like that or whatever. She's been trying to feed off of my ex also. And that's what I told her. I said, you know, I said, you're pretty much over here trying to tell me, oh, y'all nigga bitches don't have a right to respond if someone is attacking you. Oh, that's not what I said. Why would you say that? I said, do you know that his mother is nigga too? Why would you say something like that? Because I can say what I want. And that's why you shouldn't be texting me, because you and I are not on the same level. But fast forward. So we had this small, you know, welcome, you know, party waiting for him. And the officer finally called him and said, you know, what they were planning on doing, because I know, and the father's been talking to me all week. She wanted to be seen, so they were going to go and try to overstep their boundaries. She was going to, you know, he knows that it bothers me that I paid $4,000 to get him in a nice safe car, and he would torment me whenever we went somewhere. When we went somewhere and I rode with him, when he started to, and I believe it was the drug addiction too, but when he started with with this thing taking over, he would do things like go and drive on people's asses and, you know, just real nasty stuff or whatever. So, but now he's rolling out the red carpet for this, you know, woman, and the stuff that I paid for, that he, you know, as far as the divorce decree is concerned, he has to pay me back, but hasn't. So they were planning on rolling up here in that 2017 Chevy Equinox with her, you know, and her balding self and his balding self, with her in the passenger seat trying to be cute. So the officer was like, when are you going to be here? Because I'm Officer, you know, Rain, and I'm waiting on you to come, because, you know, we had some harassment, you know, complaints. And he said he was 5 minutes away. The officer had to call him a second time because he ended up taking 28 minutes to get here. Because when he got that call, he busted a U to go and take her back. They thought they was about to do their big one and come up here or whatever. Their plans got thwarted. So when he pulled up, you know, we all looking, you know, watching him. I know he was embarrassed, and the officer had a talking with him. And I'm going to document any type of funny business. My son has had a couple of flea bites on him, quite a few flea bites, and says that the house is unclean. So I'm going to be documenting that or whatever, because the way that these are going, I might end up with a fight on my hands. But believe it or not, I feel much better now, since she, you know, contacted me and tried it. It worked the complete opposite. Everything that they've done has worked the complete opposite. So anyway, hallelujah.